Section 2, containing Chapter 2 through Chapter 4. Chapter 2 of the Regulations for the Order and Discipline of the Troops of the United States, Part 1, by Baron von Steuben. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 2, Objects with which the officers and non-commissioned officers should be acquainted. The officers and non-commissioned officers of each regiment are to be perfectly acquainted with the manual exercise, marching, and firings, that they may be able to instruct their soldiers when necessary. They must also be acquainted with the drills, discipline, and police of the troops, and with everything that relates to the service. The commanding officer of each regiment is to be answerable for the general instruction of the regiment and is to exercise, or cause to be exercised, the officers, non-commissioned officers, and soldiers whenever he thinks proper. Chapter 3 of the Formation of a Company. A company is to be formed in 2 ranks at 1 pace distance, with the tallest men in the rear and both ranks sized, with the shortest man of each in the center. A company thus drawn up is to be divided into 2 sections or platoons. The captain to take post on the right of the first platoon, covered by a sergeant, the lieutenant on the right of the second platoon, also covered by a sergeant, the ensign 4 paces behind the center of the company, the first sergeant 2 paces behind the center of the first platoon, and the eldest corporal 2 paces behind the second platoon. The other 2 corporals are to be on the flanks of the front rank. Chapter 4 of the Formation of a Regiment. A regiment is to consist of 8 companies, which are to be posted in the following order, from right to left. First captains, colonels, fourth captains, majors, third captains, lieutenant colonels, fifth captains, second captains. For the greater facility in maneuvering, each regiment consisting of more than 160 files is to be formed in 2 battalions, with an interval of 20 paces between them, and 1 color posted in the center of each battalion. The colonel 15 paces before the center of the first battalion, the lieutenant colonel 15 paces before the center of the second battalion, the major 15 paces behind the interval of the 2 battalions, the adjutant 2 paces from the major, the drum and fife major 2 paces behind the center of the first battalion, their places behind the second battalion being supplied by a drum and fife, and the other drum and fifes equally divided on the wings of each battalion. When a regiment is reduced to 160 files, it is to be formed in 1 battalion, with both colors in the center. The colonel 16 paces before the colors, the lieutenant colonel 8 paces behind the colonel, the major 15 paces behind the center of the battalion, having the adjutant at his side, the drum and fife major 2 paces behind the center of the battalion, and the drums and fifes equally divided on the wings.